So over the years, there has been quite a few Marvel animated universes. There was one in the 90s and one in the 2010s, but my favorite Marvel animated universe is the Yostverse. That includes stuff like Spectacular Spider-Man, Wolverine and the X-Men, Hulk vs. Wolverine, and the best Marvel project of all time, Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Now you might be thinking, what the heck is Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes? Well, my friends, to answer that question, we're going back to 2010, the year before I was born. Well, Christopher Yost was assigned showrunner of a brand new Avengers animated series, and he did an amazing job adapting stories like the Kree-Skrull War, Secret Invasion, Ultron, Hank Pym's fall into Yellow Jacket, and the Kang Dynasty. But unfortunately, Earth's Mightiest Heroes got cancelled after 2 seasons to make way for Avengers Assemble, which was more MCU accurate, and it was not as good. And for the last 13 episodes, Christopher Yost was not the showrunner, it was Man of Action. And I think people over-exaggerate the dip in quality when Man of Action took over. Like, if I didn't know that they took over, I would not have noticed a thing. So Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes had an absolutely amazing first 2 seasons, so with the history all out of the way, it's time to get into the actual show. So we're starting with season 1, and it actually starts with a bunch of micro episodes telling you about the different characters. Like there's an episode for Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and it's really cool. But after the micro episodes, we get a 2-parter titled Breakout, and guess what it's about? It's about supervillains escaping jail. So the main villain of this 2-parter is Graviton, and I think it's really cool how they take these obscure villains and make them super cool. And then there came a day unlike any other, where Earth's Mightiest Heroes were united against the common threat. On that day, they became the Avengers. And the Avengers team actually changes a lot in members. I mean, at the start, there was only Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Ant-Man, and the Wasp, which is just like the comics. And this 2-parter builds the foundation of the show. Now there is 42 prison inmates let loose. And then we get the episode Some Assembly Required, where Tony Stark creates Avengers Mansion, and it's all about the Avengers trying to get along. And the villain that they're fighting in this episode is one of the most important villains in the show, and that is Amora the Enchantress. And then right after that, we have episode 9, Living Legend, which has Captain America being freed from the ice. And it also shows that Arnim Zola was keeping Baron Zemo alive since World War II with his computer stuff. And Captain America's realization that he's in the future is absolutely amazing. When he figures it out, he's like, then where's Bucky? And then Iron Man's like, And then we get the episode Everything is Wonderful, where we get the origin of Wonder Man. So Wonder Man is revenge-fueled because Tony Stark bought his company, but what he didn't know was that the only reason Tony bought it was because he wanted to work with him. And by the end, Wonder Man actually dies, but is resurrected by the Enchantress, and he gets to join the Masters of Evil. Don't worry, they come in later. And then the next episode is titled Panther's Quest, which really challenges the idea of traditions. A tradition that Wakanda has is union to fight for the throne, but because of that, bad people have gotten the throne, so Black Panther tries to stop the tradition. Black Panther asks the Avengers for help, and it's just a really cool idea for an episode, and right after Black Panther joins the Avengers. Episode 12 and 13 is a 2-parter called Gamma World, where the leader tries to make everyone Gamma monsters. It's a really fun 2-parter, and Hawkeye finally joins the Avengers, rounding out the team. So the first 13 episodes was all about assembling the Avengers, but now that they all are, it's time to get to the 14th episode, Masters of Evil. The Masters of Evil are finally assembled with the likes of Abomination, Baron Zemo, Wonder Man, and the Enchantress. It's a really good episode showing spotlight to the newly fully formed Avengers. And then the episode right after that introduces the Kree-Skrull War with having the Kree there. It's really good. And then right after, in the episode Widow's Sting, it showed that the Hydra agent, Viper, is actually a Skrull, and because of that, Nick Fury steps down from S.H.I.E.L.D. to figure out what's going on. Then there's the first 3-episode arc in the series, which is about Kang the Conqueror. He reveals that in his future, the world is horrible because of the Kree-Skrull War, and the reason for it all is Captain America, but the Avengers are like, what? And then Kang the Conqueror starts invading everyone, and the Avengers are like, we're gonna need an army. But Hank Pym has an idea. So he's created this little thing called Ultron! And he's doing this as like a peacekeeping thing, but because they need an army, he teaches Ultrons the concept of violence. So the Ultron bots start fighting the army, and the Avengers win! but not for long. The next episode is titled The Casket of Ancient Winners, which is kind of just a filler episode. Malekith is the main villain, and yeah, it's just filler. I mean, don't get me wrong, peak episode, but still, it's just filler. Next episode is called Hail Hydra, and finally! They used those weird Hydra robots that are in the intro, finally! The episode is mainly used to show that Nick Fury is no longer the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it's now Maria Hill. Then we get a 2-episode story arc which is all about Ultron turning evil. So Hank Pym is doing some work on Ultron when it decides to go rogue. It starts fighting the Avengers and eventually kills Thor. That's right, Thor is dead. After that, Ultron gets every nuclear code in the world and decides to just hit it on Earth, but the Avengers are there to stop it. Also, Enchantress brings back Thor because she's like, "You can be with me, my love." And then Thor's like, "Nah, I'm good." Now, and finally, the last 3-episode arc, and then it's the end of season 1, it's about Asgard. So here's some lore. Odin is going to the Odin Sleep to replenish his power, but Thor likes Earth more, so he decides to stay there. So Loki takes over Asgard, and to keep Thor distracted, he does the breakout where the 42 inmates escaped. He's the reason for that. So Loki destroys Captain America's shield, and the Avengers save the day, but Thor returns to Asgard. Now before we get to season 2, we see Captain America sitting in his room when he gets replaced with a Skrull. Alright, so season 1 was a banger, so now it's time to get over to season 2, let's go! Episode 1 is titled The Private War of Doctor Doom, where Doctor Doom attacks both the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. Yeah, that's right, this episode introduces the Four. What I really like about this episode is it shows how powerful Doctor Doom is. He can solo both the Avengers and the Fantastic Four at once. But the reason why Doctor Doom was attacking is because Invisible Woman is a Skrull. The next episode is titled Alone Against AIM, where AIM actually takes over Stark Tower, and we also get the introduction of War Machine. Tony Stark actually builds like a hologram shield for Captain America, because if you remember, in the finale, his shield broke. The next episode is called Acts of Vengeance, where Enchantress is hunting down members of the Masters of Evil to find Baron Zemo. The reason why is because Zemo actually betrayed Enchantress in the finale, so now she wants some revenge. And then Surtur makes Enchantress actually work for him. Then the next episode is called Welcome to the Kree Empire, which has Carol Danvers, aka Ms. Marvel, join the Avengers. So basically, the Kree make Ronan the Accuser go down to Earth and see if the planet will join them in the Kree-Skrull War. But as soon as they ask, Captain America tells the Avengers to attack them, which is obviously because he is a Skrull. So eventually, the Kree decides to leave, so that means the Skrulls have more power on Earth. Episode 5 is titled To Steal an Ant-Man, where since Hank Pym has quit being Ant-Man, someone has stolen his suit. Because of this, Hank Pym decides to contact Luke Cage in the Iron Fist for help. It's revealed that the person who stole his suit was Scott Lang, and he was trying to help his daughter. I think that this was a really good episode because Luke Cage and Iron Fist have such a good dynamic. Now, on to episode 6, Michael Korvac. So there was this guy called Michael Korvac, and the Kree actually abducted him, and they did experiments to make him have superpowers, and now he's really dangerous. Earth's Mightiest Heroes try to help Michael Korvac, but the Guardians of the Galaxy think that he's too dangerous, so they go down to Earth to try to stop him. And by this time, the Guardians weren't in the MCU yet, so they were more their comic selves. And by the end of the episode, Michael Korvac gets trapped in like a weird dimension thing. Now, episode 7 is one of my favorite of all time. It's titled Who Do You Trust? And it really starts the Secret Invasion storyline. Nick Fury brings Tony Stark to a weird underground place, and he tells them that the Skrulls are invading. Later in the episode, there's a really good scene where Tony tells everyone about the Skrulls, and they're like, who do we trust? Now, most of the members actually leave the Avengers. Now the roster is just Captain America, Wasp, Hawkeye, and Hulk. We all know that Captain America is the Skrull, but the people in the cartoon don't know, so we have to see them figure out who it is. The next episode is called The Ballad of Beta Ray Bill, where we actually cut to Asgard and see what Thor's been doing. The episode is about Thor helping Beta Ray Bill, but it also shows that Ragnarok is almost here. Now, unfortunately, we never saw Ragnarok because the series got cancelled. Episode 9 is called Nightmare in Red, where the Red Hulk starts attacking. People actually blame the Hulk for what Red Hulk did, so Captain America convinces Hulk to turn himself in. Now, we all know that Skrull Cap is planning something because he's slowly disassembling all of the Avengers. But now it's time to see what regular Cap's been doing in the next episode, Prisoner of War. It's shown that Captain America was in prison on a Skrull ship, and now he's gathering other people who were in prison to escape. Episode 11 is called Infiltration, which shows Ms. Marvel seeing a Skrull ship landing on Earth. When the ship opens, it's shown that all of the Avengers are there, and they tell Ms. Marvel that they've been replaced since they left Asgard. The Avengers decide to take out the Skrulls, so they go over to Wakanda to see Black Panther, and what they say is a Skrull. There becomes a big battle, but then Ms. Marvel finds out that the Avengers that came from the ship were actually the Skrulls. And the 12th episode is called Secret Invasion, where Captain America comes back, Thor comes back, and they all fight the Skrulls off. Unfortunately, though, now the public does not trust Captain America. And now, the final episode with Christopher Yost as the showrunner, it is called Along Came a Spider. Of course, it's about Spider-Man, and this version of the character is actually the same exact one that's in the Spectacular Spider-Man. And now, Man of Action takes over the show, so now we have storylines with Captain America getting back his shield, Vision joining the Avengers, the Winter Soldier, and Hank Pym becoming Yellow Jacket. And Christopher Yost actually comes back for 2 more episodes. That's the finale to the Kree storyline. And for the final episode, Galactus starts invading, and the Avengers need the help from every hero that's been on the show. What a good finale. Man, this actually might be my longest video yet, but I love Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and if you want me to do more videos like this, I would love to do it with something like Spectacular Spider-Man. Well, that's all, folks. I'll see you guys in the next one.